Start.
Hello everyone, my name is Dr. Bharat Vyas. I am a senior consultant physician and specialist in cardiology and diabetology. So today we have certain questions from some of our journalist friends. So we'll try to answer them one by one.
Okay, thank you, Doc. Today we are going to talk about hypertension, and the first question is, how is hypertension contributing to the rising cases of heart diseases you are seeing today?
So this is a very important question, especially in Kenyan standard. In Kenya, hypertension is the most common lifestyle related disease. I have worked in many countries in the world, but in Kenya I find it that hypertension is the most important and most commonly occurring lifestyle related disease. 50% of the people above the age of 50 years are hypertensive in Kenya. The mean age of onset of hypertension in Kenya is 35 years for males and 33 years for females. When we compare it to world average, it is 45 years for males and 50 years for females, which means our Kenyan people are becoming hypertensive very early in their lives. One more thing I have observed is that the mean value of the systolic blood pressure at presentation in Kenyan patients is above 175, whereas the world average, when matched to same socio-economic strata population in the world, is around 150-155. So which means that Kenyan people are becoming hypertensive very early in their lives, and they are also having very high levels of hypertension when compared to world average. One of the most important things I have also found is that uncontrolled hypertension is the most common risk factor that is leading to chronic kidney disease in Kenya. Because of the lack of awareness, many people are condemned to dialysis very early in their lives because of the onset of hypertension very early. I have tried to understand this phenomena, but there is a need for systematic research on this. One of the things which made sense to me when during all these years of my practice, what is the reason for this much occurrence of hypertension in Kenya? What I understood was that first, Kenyan people have the genes which predispose them to developing hypertension. Second, altered lifestyle, that is, the Kenyan diet is not same as what the great grandfathers some 300 years ago or 200 years ago ate. There is a radical shift in the way people have their foods and the type of foods they are eating. And one more most important thing which we see in any society which is having lifestyle related diseases is that increased salt intake. So that is also one of the reasons why Kenyan people are becoming hypertensive, because of the increased salt intake. And the least researched thing, which in my guess, it's only a guess, it's an educated guess, I cannot prove it, is that Kenya is on the equator. And on the equator there is, in the atmosphere near the equators, there is high incidence of what is called cosmic radiation, that is the charged particles coming from the upper atmosphere, and getting exposed to this radiation could be causing hypertension in my guess. Because one of the comparative studies I have done, people who are of Indian origin, when they are living in Kenya, their hypertension seems to be high and they need higher doses of medicine, and when they go back to India, their pressure seems to go down, or they have lesser need for hypertensive medicines. But then again, this is a comparative study I have done. The population size is also not big, so this is only an educated guess. So these are all the things which are leading to the incidence of hypertension, and because of this hypertension, the incidence of cardiac diseases also are very high. The most important cardiac disease that is directly attributable to this hypertension is the dilated cardiomyopathy. And unfortunately, what is happening is that hypertension is because Kenyan people are, they are very robust, they are most of the time healthy cardiac wise. Till the stage 4 hypertension, the hypertension is not being recognized. That is leading to dilatation of the hearts, which ultimately leads to heart failure later in life. So diagnosis early is also becoming a tricky part in Kenya because of the people have the higher cardiac reserve. That means people don't develop symptoms in Kenya with milder hypertensions like 150, 160s, they don't show any symptoms. Many people don't show any symptoms. It's only when the hypertension becomes too much, like above 175 values, and people start developing NYHA grade 2 symptoms, that is developing breathlessness while doing an activity to which they are used to, or development of palpitations or headaches. All these things, only when these things happen, people come to us to seek attention. The problem is that the occurrence of these symptoms is also very late in Kenyan patients.
Okay. So question number 2, what are the early warning signs of hypertension people should watch for, and when they should seek medical screening?
Yes, this is the most important thing as far as this topic is concerned. Because the symptoms are milder, many people tend to ignore the symptoms. One of the most common symptoms of occurrence of hypertension is that grade 2, NYHA grade 2 symptoms. That is, people develop palpitations or breathing difficulty when they are doing the physical activity to which otherwise they are already acclaimed to. That means a person in their 30s or 40s, for example, you are able to climb, say, around 3 flights of stairs, and over a period of time they develop difficulty in breathing or palpitations for the same activity in a period of, say, 6 months to 1 year. When this happens, this is one of the early warning signs of hypertension. Okay, that is one thing. The second thing is that frequent onset of headaches. People develop headaches, albeit milder, they occur very frequently. So this is another early symptom of hypertension. And one more symptom which people can develop is that people can develop swelling of the feet, especially when they travel for a long time, developing swelling of the feet. And some people, they also develop chest pain. Chest pain, of course, most of the time it is attributable to acid peptic disease because of the altered diets in Kenya, but chest pain could also be one of the most important symptoms of onset of hypertension. And one more thing is that most of the Kenyan people I have seen, many of them are prone to acid peptic disease, and this acid peptic disease can become worse with the development of hypertension. So if anybody has got symptoms like this, they should screen they should get themselves screened by a qualified physician or a general practitioner.
Okay. Third question, from a medical perspective, how important is lifestyle modification in preventing heart complications linked to hypertension?
Yes, lifestyle modification is the most important thing when it comes to hypertension. Of course, the onset of hypertension is linked to genetics, but unless the lifestyle becomes crazy, usually people don't develop hypertension. People who eat on time, sleep on time, do some good physical activity every day, don't consume high amounts of salt, don't smoke, don't drink, these people are usually not prone for developing hypertension. So these are the most important lifestyle interventions a person has to undergo or a person has to take care of. See, in the olden societies, especially when we take in the context of Kenya, people are mostly agrarians or hunters, so which involved a lot of physical activity. But as the times changed, many jobs have become desk jobs, and that is leading to the development of sedentary lifestyle, and also the onset of, with the advent of technology in our lives, especially the mobile phones, people are getting exposed to ultraviolet rays, especially post the dusk, that is after the sun sets. We are still getting exposed to the unnatural ultraviolet rays from our cell phones, and this is leading to lack of sleep. This leads to a lot of tension, and when a person doesn't have adequate amount of sleep, they are prone to higher amount of stress, and these are all the things which are causing the hypertension epidemic in Kenya. It's actually very alarming how many people I diagnose as having hypertension each day. I have been practicing in Kenya for the last 8 years, and hypertension is the most common lifestyle related disease that I have found. So lifestyle related changes and educating people on the importance of healthy lifestyle is very, very important in Kenya to reduce the healthcare burden.
Okay. One last question. What policy or healthcare system gaps must be addressed to improve early diagnosis and management of hypertension?
Yeah, this is the most important thing I always wanted to discuss with community at large and with the healthcare authorities if they listen to me. See, in certain countries like Japan, the content of the what are the ingredients, for example, of fast foods are prominently displayed. This is one of the strategies which the Kenyan government can undertake to reduce the consumption of junk food. Especially crisps are consumed a lot in Kenya, and the crisps, they contain so much of salt, which is the most important and sole contributor of development of hypertension all through the world. Okay, when compared to our earlier generations, we are consuming copious amounts of salt. This is the most important lifestyle change that has led to the epidemic of hypertension, especially in the developed world, now creeping into developing world. Okay, so by displaying the amount of salt that is contained on the fast foods, and by displaying what is the healthy quantity that a person can consume and how much more a given fast food is containing, we can actually reduce the intake of salt. That is the most important thing which the governments can take as a policy decision. Apart from that, people should be taught that exposure to ultraviolet radiation, especially after the dusk, that is after the sunsets, which is leading to lack of sleep in many populations, which leads to a lot of development of stress, and that it leads to the development of hypertension. Especially when I see the kids nowadays, most of them are addicted to cell phones. So this cell phone addiction is leading to lot of stress in life, and stress is the most important triggering factor for development of hypertension. Okay? Apart from all these things, healthy diet should always be taught to young people especially. Okay? Other than this, the development of PCOD, polycystic ovarian disease, is very common in Kenya among the women. In my opinion, this polycystic ovarian disease is also leading to development of obesity and also leading to development of hypertension and diabetes, that is lifestyle related diseases in Kenya. So educating the females early to take care of themselves, when the signs of PCOD are visible to them or they felt them, they seek the medical attention early. That can also lead to reducing the incidence of hypertension in Kenya. And as I told in my previous previous answers, hypertension is the single most leading cause of chronic kidney disease in Kenya. So when awareness talks like this are conducted on a regular basis, people can get to that culture of taking care of themselves, putting the health first, and early detection of lifestyle related diseases like hypertension, and restricting the incidence of chronic kidney disease. Because I see that most of the SHA funds are being used for, most of the funds are used for, if not most significant amount of that are being used for catering the dialysis patients. See, so these things can be avoided and funds can be better utilized, and people can become healthy when education programs like these are conducted. So government should take it as a policy initiative to conduct healthcare education programs like by the subject experts on a regular basis, which can lead to better healthcare outcomes of this country as a whole.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
So I think that's the end of the questions.
Yeah, we are done.
We'll take a break here.
Thank you.